Good morning, everyone. Debbie, you're in Jerusalem. Shabbat Shalom all the way from here to there, and for bringing there the heart of our people into our community. Thank you for that. What a gift. Let's learn a little bit of Torah, get ready for Shabbos. So this Shabbat will be Parshat Shoftim. We've been talking about it a lot. I wanted to point to one important element of Moshe's speech. Shoftim very much is about setting up the structures of society so that we can endure, so that we can have each other. We can know what the boundaries of personal responsibilities are and what the extent of communal obligations are too. It's very important for us to understand that Deuteronomy, is a program for social welfare, for the distribution of wealth, for justice. Everything that goes into building a society appropriately is mentioned here. Now, even if there are aspects of Deuteronomy's perspective that are not our own, meaning that ethics have evolved, notions of gender have evolved, how we treat each other changes, how Jews see non-Jews has developed and become much more beautiful from a place of biblical worry to a place of modern inclusion, I pray. But there's one aspect of Moses's comments in this parsha that I want to point to, and it's resonant, especially today in America and in Israel, given that there will be the 5th elections in less than 4 years, very soon in Israel, which is extraordinary. And they're getting very good at democracy because they practice it so much. But here in America, that is not a given. We've been practicing for a long time, short in the history of humankind, but hundreds of years. And I'm not sure that we should call it a stable democracy. We should call it a democratic experiment, because we've got work to do to maintain and preserve our democracy here, as does our people in our homeland. So when in this week's Parsha, Moshe says, when a question is too great for you, bring it to the authorities of your day, the priests or the judges, and listen to what they say. And then it says it in a slightly extreme way. Do not veer to the left or to the right from what they've said. One who does not listen to the authority of their day should be put to death. Now, you and I'm assuming, have some pretty strong opinions about capital punishment. It is a very complicated thing to think that human beings should have the right to kill other human beings. Yes, there are comments about this. Yes, the Eichmann trial in the early days of Israel's existence as a state was the only time that Israel has meted out capital punishment. There is a lot to say about this. But what I want to point to is not that, but how extreme the Torah is in encouraging, in demanding that we listen to the judges of our own day, as if they were Moses, as if they were speaking for God. Now, does that mean that human beings speak for God? Clearly not. But one of the things that happens in this week's Parsha is that the Torah makes explicit that there will come questions that the Torah hasn't already answered, that every generation will be faced by new kinds of questions. That's glorious. For the Torah to say this is an open canon, an evolving revelation. We aren't done knowing what is right. We have to learn, we have to explore, and new questions will arise. And the authorities that we have in our day are the authorities that we should listen to, which is another way of saying that the institutions of the state are a sacred concern. I've shared before that in Pirkei Avot, one of the sages says that a Jew must seek the welfare of the government, without which people would tear each other apart. That is another extreme way of saying what I think is very true, which is without the protections and the legal enforcement and just laws of the state, people would be terribly unkind to each other at best. Greed and fear would tear us apart. I'd forget not only to take care of my neighbor, but I'd forget that that is my neighbor's and this is mine, and the difference is important. In the end, it all belongs to God. In the end, it is only by the grace of God that I have what I have and you have what you have, and it is also the case that because the Torah commands me to be concerned with how society exists, and to protect the institutions of the state, and to trust the authorities of my time, and to be open to new questions. That is the glory of Torah. It's the glory of Jewish tradition. Is that everything? Well, without that, there's nothing. Without the guardrails of what we consider healthy society, democracy, for me, lines up with that idea. Churchill might have been right. It's only less bad than everything else. But given that we are fundamentally non-fundamentalist, we are open to new questions. We are open to truths that emerge over time. And given that the Torah approves of that, the Torah gives punctuation, an exclamation point to that. Listen to the authorities of your time when you have a new question that only they can answer. Also should humble them, which is to say, when the authorities of our day offer an answer to a question, that is not final either, because perhaps in another generation, a big question will come up that might overturn the previous position. The rabbis affirm this when they include minority opinions. Whenever they speak, the Talmud is full of the opinions that didn't win. Why? Because perhaps that will be the basis for a future decision. We must remain open, and we must build trust. We must preserve the institutions of the state, and that is another way on the collective way of living and loving our neighbors. Without that, it's not good. And without that, it's Lord of the Flies. It's some dystopian vision of what the future looks like. But we need not accept that. The Torah says you dare not accept that. There will be questions. There will be responses. And every generation has the right to say so. May we be blessed, friends, to help build and preserve the institutions of the state so that we can love our neighbors healthily and be loved ourselves. Protect the vulnerable and be protected as well. This is a practical program for healthy living. May we be blessed to let it in and to do our part in envisioning it and implementing it. So Shabbat Shalom, friends. Let's sing our way into a good Shabbos. Bless you all, friends. Shabbat Shalom. See you Monday.